right, everyone. Welcome back here to our Pokemon Day celebration here on Tuesday night here at Impact Gaming Center. We've got two new people for you here on stream. Tina, one of our regulars, making her way onto the stream for the first time, I believe. And then we've got Talon, which is, I think this is one of his first times here at Impact. So being able to come on stream at one of your first weeklies here at Impact, it could be one of his second or third. I can't remember correctly. Don't recognize him, so I'm assuming it's his first, but it could be his second or third. And then Tina, a longtime player here at Impact. She always has a great time playing her buddy Typhlosion. She's been playing Typhlosion here for a hot minute, so I'm glad that she gets to show it off on stream. We just had a little bit of a raffle giving away. So we had Tuck winning a Mega Venusaur EX box. So that's extremely cool for Tuck here. And this is like the third time. I wasn't 100% sure. It's the first time I've been here with them, if that makes sense. So we've got Mega Box on the left, a rerun from the last round. And we've got Tina on Typhlosion, starting off with that Ethan's Cyndaquil. Typhlosion with that Buddy Blast attack, being able to do 60 more damage for every Ethan's Adventure that is in the discard pile. So we're starting to talk about some really large numbers as those Ethans start piling up. We get to let's see, 240, I believe. No, it's 40 plus 60. So we're starting to talk about 280 if it's in all four in the discard pile. Start to add in Brave Bangle. Now you're talking about 310. Now you're starting to talk about some really serious numbers. Maybe mix in like a Black Belt's training, or maybe mix in another damage modifier, so that way you can hit some key numbers. I believe Tina is running the Max Belt as the A spec of choice. I know that is what some Typhlosion players ran for a little bit, so that way you could hit those key numbers. So it's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. Tina starting off a little slow with that lone Cyndaquil start, and Talent absolutely popping off with that turn one A-Spec, that Precious Trolley. We're going to see Mega Absol come down. We're going to see Monkey Dory come down. We've got Latias. We've got another Monkey Dory, and we are choosing to leave that final bench slot open. I'm assuming off of that Arven, we also got Technical Machine Turbo Energize, allowing us to search our deck for 2 energies and put them on to our benched Pokemon. Most likely going to see either the Darks being split amongst the Monkey Dories, or we're going to see both Darks go on to the Mega Absol. It kind of depends. Well, we had a little bit of a stream issue there for a second. It all kind of depends on what Talon views as the most important cards that he needs and wants in this matchup. It kind of depends on him. I know some players in the past have gone straight for the Monkey Dory split. I think for Talon here, I think it makes more sense to just go ahead and power up that Absol. Your opponent hasn't done much to start off the game, so why not go ahead and get the aggression going with that Mega Absol and go ahead and putting pressure on with that Claw of Darkness. Even if Tina does get set up, you can go ahead and start sniping cards out of her hand, making things tough for her to get set up and get established. I know another thing that Tina has ran in the past is she has gone in with Crustle as a way for her to kind of hard counter some of these EX decks, make things a little bit more difficult for Absolbox to do what they need and want to do. It appears when my stream glitched, I actually lost the ability to see the prizes. My tablet is still working, but is not showing up on the stream. So I apologize with that. I'm going to try to get that worked on while I'm talking with you guys. As you guys know, us having random things that pop up on streams tends to happen more times than I would like it to. But, you know, nothing we can really deal with. You know, when OBS likes to be OBS, you just kind of have to live with it. Let's see here. We've got the Kangaskhan in the active slot with that Mist Energy, using that Technical Machine Turbo Energize, powering up that Absol. We saw that last turn. Tina going in with the Arven this turn, probably trying to set up her deck. And she's actually running the Secret Box instead of the Max Belt. Very interesting. I think it does make sense. It lets her go get her Ethans. It lets her go get Stadiums. It lets her go get whatever items and tool cards she needs. It really sets the deck up for success. So I understand the inclusion of the Secret Box too, especially if you have an Ethans in hand. You can very much use Secret Box to discard the Ethans and go grab another Ethans. Now you're talking about 140 damage plus out of nowhere. So it does make a little bit of sense. There's a little bit of cohesion and synergy there. Oh, you're gonna surprise me today, man, dude. I would have loved to have you in the booth with me here tonight. But yeah, I know you and the post office. You guys have a love-hate relationship. You hate them, but they pay your bills, so you have to love them for that. Tina here playing that secret box, like we said earlier. I don't know what all she grabbed off the secret box. I think she was kind of eyeing some things up. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what she grabbed. I know she is kind of waffled between a few cards based off some of her interactions and some of her thoughts. You can see her mind working as she's trying to work out what play does she want to do. I will say, crucially, she is hitting big numbers against Megabox. All she has to do is basically take a knockout on Kangaskhan and a knockout on Absol, and she is going to win the game. It's not the hardest line for her to hit, and the numbers really start to add up as time goes on in this match. So I'd like to see if she can get into the game. That's kind of the big question mark for me right now, and that secret box is going to help her do that. I think she's still kind of going between the decisions off of this secret box here. Unfortunately for her, it looks like her cards are kind of upside down and inside out and all the kinds of different directions. I feel the exact same way when the stream died on me and I lost my prize card counter. As you guys know, we've had some interesting experiences with our computer. We have recently replaced it, and sometimes it just likes to do its own thing sometimes. You know how computers are. Computers just like to, you know, do their thing. And yeah, Scott, we got Tina on. I did have to ask her a couple times if she was sure she wanted to come on stream. I know in the past she has not wanted to, but it was Pokemon Day. She was feeling a little loose and she wanted to come out here and hang out with us. So I'm very happy to see that she is out here on stream playing Typhlosion, getting to show the true power of our good friend Ty. Corey, it's also Corey's favorite Pokemon. So I'm sure Corey is very excited seeing his boy Ty here on the stream with a very great pilot here in Tina. Looks like we're eyeing up the Watchtower. We're getting a Buddy Buddy Poffin, and it looks like Turo's Scenario is the supporter of choice, and we're grabbing that luxurious cape, making Typhlosion a little bit tankier. We're seeing the attachment of that Turbo Machine Technical Energize, or sorry, Turbo Evolution. I apologize. I'm so used to Technical Machine Turbo Energize for Absol Box, I forget that Evolution's a thing. And we're seeing this Buddy Buddy Poffin come down. I'm curious to see if she's still running the Crustals. And if she is, that is going to make things very difficult for Megabox. And we're seeing the bumping of the Risky Ruins, grabbing that Watchtower and putting that in play. We're seeing double Cyndaquil come down. And it looks like Talon is saying you did not bump the stadium before you used Buddy Poffin. So these Cyndaquils are going to be taking 2 damage counters apiece with that Risky Ruins before being replaced with the Watchtower. Crucially shutting off Kangaskhan's run errand ability. It's going to make things a little bit more difficult for Talon if his hand is a little dead, if he doesn't have a way to counter that stadium. Because Mega Kangaskhan is kind of that glue that keeps Megabox running. It lets him draw cards. It lets him see a lot more cards off the top of his deck and able to get into the game. Because one of the big things about Absol Box is it tends to have dead hands in the mid game if Fezandipity is not in play. That is one thing that we have seen in the past. So be very curious to see if this Watchtower is going to be that impactful in this matchup, just shutting down that Kangaskhan. And let me see if I can get my tech support to come in here and help me with this stream issue that I have. All right. Sorry about that. I was sending a text over to Les Alex, having him come by, the original streamer man of our Pokemon night here at Impact, to come over and assist me with the tablet that has currently decided to die on me. Randomly glitched in the system and decided to just stop working. So we see that retreat into the Absol here. That Mega Absol fully powered up, ready to use that Claw of Darkness attack to not only knock out the active Pokemon, but take a card out of Tina's hand and launch it to that discard pile. We've seen Mega Absol kind of play some different cards in the past that messed with the hand, that messed with hand advantage, such as Zerosix Machinations. We've seen Airy. I know Kevin has talked about potentially running something like Erica's Invitation to make the Yveltal play a little bit stronger as well. It also is a way for you to scout out the hand pre-Claw of Darkness. So I do think that Mega Absol going more into like a disruptive hand attacking deck is what has really taken it from this very strong and solid archetype into one of the best archetypes in standard format at the moment. I know Kevin has told me that the deck doesn't really have any solid 100% win matchups. It does like feeling favored into Dragapult, but it pretty much 50-50s everything else, and it pretty much involves outplaying your opponent. So it's very interesting to see these decks just absolutely just dominate with Claw of Darkness. We've seen it win EUIC, win Fukuoka, and the Champions League in Japan, 7,000 player tournament, and just absolutely takes it down in a post rotation environment. So it's just interesting to see Megabox really climbing the ranks and being that S tier archetype right along Dragapult, especially with Gardevoir kind of falling off over the last few weeks and months, not performing quite to the levels that it's used to over its long lifespan. Tina here using that Bonded by the Journey ability on that Quilava, going out and grabbing a combination of Ethan's Pokemon and energy. We see another Quilava hit the battlefield using another Bonded by the Journey, letting you search your deck for an Ethan's Adventure supporter. It's one of the reasons why this deck was so good when it was originally released in Destined Rivals, was the fact that it could constantly chain Ethan's adventures. We haven't seen mainstay success with it in a while, but Tina has found success with it here at Impact over the few weeks and months since its release in that Destined Rival set. We are benching another Cyndaquil here. We've got that Ethan's Typhlosion in hand for next turn. I believe that is the second or third Ethan's in the discard pile. I'm not 100% sure. I can't tell based off the way her discard pile is currently leaning. But we know for a fact that we're going to have a few Ethan's ready to go. Tina kind of contemplating putting that luxurious cape into play, putting it on the benched Quilava with the damage counters from that risky ruins, passing it back over to Talon. Talon using Ultra Ball, getting rid of that full art Mega Absol and getting rid of Kangaskhan, searching his deck for that beautiful gold Pecharunt, being able to use subjugating chains to move any dark Pokemon to the active slot. If you do that, you are poisoned. Basically just a way of saying, I'm not going to be retreat locked. You already have that Latias in play, but the Pecharunt just adds an even extra layer to that. Pecharunt, a very, very good card. We've seen it with a number of different uses. We've seen things like Roaring Moon EX play it when Shrouded Fable was legal. Roaring Moon, not quite the level of deck that it used to be a few rotations ago when the Galarian Moltres V was still in format, but still a meta threat nonetheless in the middle of its lifespan. We see that retreat into the Kangaskhan. I'm going to run errands, draw 2 cards here. We get the Arven. We're going to go ahead and play that Arven, see what we're going to grab off of that. We're going to grab Bravery Charm, and the item is the next question. I can see a world where we grab like an Earthen Vessel, maybe go get some Darks out of the deck, so that way we can start putting that on the Monkey Dory, start putting some Adrenabrain pressure on. Grabbing that Earthen Vessel. Let's see here what we're going to discard off of that, throwing that gold Bravery Charm onto the Mega Absol, using that Earthen Vessel. We're going to go ahead and pitch away the Blood Moon Ursaluna. Probably not going to be used that much in this matchup. We're going to go ahead and grab out a couple Darkness Energies, most likely putting those on the Monkey Dories. That way we're able to Adrenabrain and start putting some more pressure on those Kolabas and on that Cyndaquil. Crucially, we have that Petront EX in the active slot, so we were able to retreat via Latios into the Mega Kangaskhan, then Subjugating Chains that Absol into the active spot, able to use Claw of Darkness, get a lot of mobility, start getting damage counters on the Absol, so that way we can Adrenabrain them off with the poison damage. See that attachment for turn on to the Monkey Dory. And we're going to go ahead and Adrenabrain some damage off of this Latios EX. Talon reviewing Tina's discard pile, basically just seeing what that Typhlosion does. My suggestion is if you see an Ethan's, don't hit it with that Claw of Darkness if you can help it. We see Talon here grabbing, it looks like probably a marker or something just to show usage of the Petron. That's exactly what we're going to see. We're going to see that Subjugating Chains moving the Absol to the active spot, using that Claw of Darkness to go down to 4 prizes remaining, and we are going to snipe the Typhlosion. Makes the most sense. Basically pressures Tina's resources, saying that she has to use Recursion in order to get those Typhlosions back. Don't really worry about the fact that you have Ethan's Adventure. I'm more worried about the fact that Typhlosion is going to start hitting some key numbers here in a minute. And if I hit the Ethans, I'm just powering up your Typhlosions anyway, knowing that you're going to be able to Bonded by the Journey and get that Ethans back into your hand. And yeah, it does appear that we are missing that poison marker and that poison tick of damage on that Mega Absol here. Unfortunately, I do not have the ability to go out and let our players know that we are missing anything. If I had a co-caster with me tonight, usually my co-caster is the one that runs out and acts as a pseudo judge. I am just here as a bird's eye view, unfortunately. If I had a way to message the players to the tabletop, I would gladly let them know that we are currently missing that poison damage and that poison damage marker and basically the status condition marker. Just letting our players know, hey, it happens, but you guys did miss this. Yeah, one of the big things that I have done locally too is instead of playing my like Ultra Ball or way, like I'll like Arven for the cards I need, like the Pokemon I need, instead of like an Ultra Ball, which I know that happens a lot. And funnily, you mentioned the walkie-talkies. Most of the members here at Impact as the employees, they have walkie-talkies to talk to each other. It'd be nice to have one in the booth to be able to let one of my cohorts know, like, hey, I need some help. A, the stream doesn't have prize cards because the computer glitched, and B, we need help letting our players know that we're currently missing some board state issue stuff. And also too, it's one of those things where you're playing on stream, you're more focused on what plays you're doing, and you're focused on so many other aspects of the game that something like a poison damage tick tends to get missed. I know another big one that gets missed is something like oh my gosh, I forgot the ability name of Frostlass, but the Frostlass triggers on something like Grimmsnarl is a huge one that people always miss. One of the things that I always tell myself is Frostlass triggers every single time I'm in between turns, just that way I don't forget. And it looks like Talon here did hear our prayers, heard our whispers in the back, and did put that poison damage counter on. Tina getting set up with that Crustle. Things are going to get a little bit more interesting here for Talon. Crustle is one of the main things that you do not want to see if you are a Mega Box player. You don't have a great way of dealing with Crustle. I know I've talked with my buddy Kevin. He's like, yeah, dude, we have like Yveltal, and that's like kind of it. And we have Monkey Dory damage, which that will work over time. Maybe in something like Tina's build where they don't. I don't believe Tina plays something like a jumbo ice cream cone, but if you're playing a full-on control stall deck with Crustle, then it makes things extremely difficult. Talon here with that dark energy. Is there enough damage counters in play to terminal period? That is, I think, the big question. I'm not 100% sure if there are. The Monkey Dories look like they have 20. The Absol, I believe, has 20. I think that's the big question mark. Yeah, and we're seeing the double Adrenabrain here, but I don't think it's a full 60 damage Adrenabrain. I think Talon needs 2 more damage counters in order to use that terminal period. I think the big thing here, I was just about to say, I think the big thing here would be if Talon has Gust to go around the Crustle, potentially going into that Lux Caped Quilava, which is exactly what we're going to see, and then using Claw of Darkness to get rid of some of Tina's resources, and then basically say, I'll deal with the Crustle next turn. I'm not 1000% sure if Tina is playing the mist energies. I think she just has luminous and fire energy as a way of powering up this Crustle. All right. I'm not sure what our players are discussing here at the moment. Uh Tina drawing for turn. She does have that Typhlosion in hand. I would say if this was the turn that she had mist energy in her deck, this would be the turn I would hope you would try to find it. Yeah, and it looks like there's another board state issue here with Talon not discarding a card off of that Claw of Darkness. There's a lot of effects in the TCG that have a You May clause, and Mega Absol is not one of those Pokemon. If you reveal your opponent's hand, you have to discard a card unless they have 0 cards in hand. That is one of the stipulations of that Claw of Darkness. Similar to Pidgeot's Quick Search, you cannot fail a Quick Search. You have to take a card off of Quick Search. Even if it is your last card in deck, you have to take it off of that quick search. So, yeah, very interesting here that that was missed by our players. I think it's one of those situations if you're Talon where you're like, I feel like I have this game in the bag. It's probably what he's thinking. You know, he's got the terminal period and he's ready to go to knock out this Crustle. Even if Mega Absol goes down, like you just have a Typhlosion to deal with. Like he's probably just in the driver's seat. He's probably not thinking about things like what card do I discard off of Claw of Darkness. He's probably not thinking about that. He's probably just thinking, I just need to do a couple attacks to try to win this game. Is probably what he's thinking. I know I've been guilty of that in the past too. So we're gonna see the retreat off of the Skyliner ability with that Latias in play, so that way we can run errands with the Mega Kangaskhan. We're going to use that Subjugating Chains, pushing Absol back to the active slot, poisoning our Absol once more, just needing to put 2 damage counters on that Crustle, so that way we can use Terminal Period. We see the manual attachment onto that Kangaskhan, just that way Kangaskhan can use that rapid fire combo to take the final knockout of the game whenever this Absol goes down. We're seeing the Arven come into play, basically just thinning the deck out, seeing if there's anything else that we really want to grab. Getting that Bravery Charm just to add a little bit more survivability to our Mega Kangaskhan, and then getting the Poke Gear just in case we need to dig for a supporter that next turn. Yeah, like I said, Mega Box has kind of turned into this one of these tier zero archetypes. It has really turned into one of the better decks in format. It has really kind of stepped into the void that Gardevoir has left. As one of the main ways of beating Dragapult is very favored into Dragapult. So it's very understandable that Megabox has kind of taken over as one of the better decks in format, just because having a great Dragapult matchup and then 50-50ing the rest of the field, it's kind of the place you want to be. It's kind of the best deck for a regional run, just because you know that you have a chance into pretty much anything you see against, except for maybe like the random Crustle in the room, or maybe the random one prize deck you might run into, like Alakazam, if they're playing multiple E-Hammer. And Corey, I know you're a big fan of Charizard. How is that Mega Box versus Charizard matchup? I think Kevin told me it's a 50-50, but I know as the Zard player yourself, you probably know the matchup spreads a little bit better than I do. You know me, I'm not very much of a Charizard player. I was more of a Gardevoir man myself. So we see Talon here lining up that terminal period to knock out the Crustle. Let's see. I want to read that Crustle real quick. I think it just prevents damage from EXs, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've had to read Crustle, just because it's not something we see very much in that standard format. And yeah, the Mysterious Box in just prevents all damage done to it. So we would have need to see a Mist Energy in order to stop that terminal period. I believe that's what Tina was kind of discussing with Talon, is like, do I block this with Mysterious Rockin'? And unfortunately, you do not. We do have that Typhlosion in the active slot. Is there a way for us to push to take a knockout this turn? I'm not 100% sure if there is. We see that Ethan's Ho-Oh EX in order to get some fire energy into play. Probably like a solid backup attacker in the deck. Talon reading the card, just double checking to make sure if there's anything that Ho-Oh does that he needs to worry about. We're seeing a Buddy Buddy Poffin come down. See if there's another Crustle in the deck or not. I don't believe I saw one. And we're seeing the Energy Recycler, one of the most important cards in Lost Box back in the day, as a way to power up your Mirage Gates. You would burn through the deck, getting rid of energy into your discard pile just throughout the game naturally. Between things like Pokestop that we saw at 2024 in EIC, manually retreating in order to get your Comb Phase online. There was a number of reasons that we would use to get energy into the discard pile just throughout the game, just natural wear and tear. And you would use that energy recycler to throw energy back into your deck. You would use Ordinary Rod to throw energy back into your deck. So that way you can Mirage Gate onto your attackers back in the days of that Lost Zone box. One of the best decks that we've ever seen. Unfortunately, it came alongside some other amazing decks of all time. We've seen it up against things like Lugia during the Swish Sit format. It was like the battle of titans between those two. It tried to do things against Mew VMAX back in the day. It was just one of those decks that really wanted to do like counter meta. We've seen things like Lost Ogre. We've seen the Lost Amazing Rares like Lost Ray and Lost Raikou see their way into a standard format. We saw Sablezard. We saw all these different Lost Box variants. And the big question was always Mirage Gate, but Energy Recycler was one of those cards that was pretty much standard across every single Lost Box list as a way for them to get energy back in the deck so that way they could use their Mirage Gates. And we see Rapid Fire Combo, unfortunately, flipping tails. So Ho-Oh is going to live with 30 remaining HP. Tina, a chance to try to take a prize and come back in this game. All right, and we see the draw for turn here. Can Tina do something in this game to take a prize? Maybe work her way back into the Magic. I think Talon just has a lot set up at the moment. Very difficult to deal with all of the pressure that Megabox is putting on. There was a situation where I thought there was a chance that Typhlosion might be able to do enough to kind of push Mega Box to the very limits of what the deck can do. I mean, it's a one prize deck that can hit key numbers against Mega Box. But I think it was just too much pressure from Talon early, just kind of pushed Tina off the board. Which, with a deck like Absolbox, we do see that from time to time. It can be very aggressive. It's not quite the level of aggressiveness that we would see from like days of old Raging Bolt or even something like Goldengo in today's meta, but it is on the cusp of being one of the faster decks in standard format. Something like Gardevoir's a little bit slower, Dragapult's a little bit slower. Charizard probably has about the same level of speed as Absolbox. They both kind of need like a turn or two to get into the game before they really start doing what they want to do. But I thought there was a chance that Typhlosion could push that Mega Box to the limits, and it just appears that we're just kind of not in that spot. And I believe that time was called in round for our players. So they are currently proceeding to 3 additional turns. So we're going to go ahead and cut us over here to the sideboard here, just that way we can get some cool things going on. I hope you guys like my cool Pikachu hat. One of the main things that we got going on here on Pokemon Day, we got a cool little Pikachu hanging out here. Tina looks like she's going to grab that Pheasantipity. Unfortunately, there was not a knockout taken last turn, so we are not going to be able to use that flip the script to draw 3 additional cards. Pheasantipity just hanging out, being a good sport at this current moment in time. And it looks like Talon's letting her flip the script anyway, though there was not a knockout taken out. The rapid fire combo missed the knockout, and unfortunately, there's nothing I could do to tell the players. But yeah, I think we had an illegal flip the script there at the end. And Scott, I always got that drip on, bro. We got the Pika hat dog. I mean, we got the chain, bro. I mean, like, we got the drip, bro. We do have the drip. I got to be iced out 24/7. You know how it goes. Unfortunately, I'm not as cool without the Pikachu hat in normal day-to-day life. The Pikachu hat does make me into a better person. So, I mean, what can I say? And I think we're just waiting to see a pass here. Drawing 2 more cards. Is there a way for Talon to win this game this turn? I believe so. I feel like there's a lot of cards in Talon's hand that just don't do a lot at the moment. I feel like if you're Talon, I think you just go for the rapid fire combo and just say, if I whiff, then I whiff, especially if you don't have boss in hand. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing. And we're seeing another Tails on that rapid fire combo, doing 200 damage to that active Pheasantipity. So I believe that Tina is turn number 2. So Talon will have one more opportunity to win this game. I think for Talon, I think he's just like, I just want to win. I want to be able to win this game, and then Kangaskhan is just not providing for him at the moment. Kangaskhan is basically saying, "Nah, bro, we chilling, bro. We'll just a couple tails. That's all we need to do. We don't need to worry about winning, dude. Winning's overrated. All right." That's pretty much what Kangaskhan's currently telling Talon at the moment. And it looks like we have a scoop from our players. It looks like Talon has taken this game from Tina. Congratulations to both of our players making it on to the stream, having a great time playing here on Pokemon Day's celebration here at Impact Gaming Center. I believe a Phantasmal Flames ETB is up for grabs for our players as part of our raffle for this round. So I'm going to go head out and see if I can get Alex to help me fix my prize cards that have broke in the middle of our round. And then we will catch you guys here in a second. So don't go anywhere. I'll be back here momentarily after a tiny little break. Thanks, guys.